the area. Meanwhile, some British scientists had become interested in Kulik's investigations. In London, Dr. Scholl recalled a recording made from a microbarometer in 1908 indicating a disturbance of unknown origin. He noted the possibility that the microbarometer reading was related to the fall of the Tunguska meteorite. The English scientist Whipple then calculated the speed of the pressure waves and the energy of the Tunguska meteorite explosion on the basis of microbarograms. During this period, Vernadsky, who had been a member of the 1921 expedition, attentively followed the investigations of the Tunguska meteorite. He hypothesized that it was possible the Tunguska meteorite actually resulted from the penetration of a huge mass of cosmic dust into the Earth's gravitation field and was a comet-like body rather than a true meteorite. His assumption was supported by the Soviet scientist Ostapovich, who had collected and published eyewitness accounts from various areas of Siberia. This map illustrates the points where the flight of the meteorite was observed. The points where the earthquake was observed, and locations where thunder and noise were heard. All these occurrences covered an area of over 1 million square kilometers. Ostapovich then calculated the direction of flight of the meteorite, and later his determinations were refined by Krenov. The explosion took place at 016 minutes Greenwich time. The air pressure wave was registered by numerous meteorological stations in Siberia. It traveled with the speed of sound and was recorded in Leningrad, Copenhagen, Potsdam, Zagreb, and London. The airwave traveled twice around the world and converged in the Drake Strait between Antarctica and South America. Its energy was 10 to 21 ergs. Kulik, however, never gave up hope that one day he might find a fragment of the Tunguska meteorite. He continued collecting other meteorites and studying the conditions of their fall as he searched for clues to help him in further investigations of the Tunguska meteorite, fragments of which he assumed were still hidden in the swamps. Technological advances made aerial photographs available for further investigations, and in 1938, Kulik continued this work with the help of Schmidt. He finally obtained 1,500 photographs for use in studying the area. From these, he confirmed the uprooting and destruction of the forest. He then initiated a new program of activity. He outlined a comprehensive investigation to be completed by 1943, but his work was interrupted by World War II. Kulik, along with thousands of other Soviet citizens, volunteered for the front. He did not return. Shortly after the war, the attention of Soviet astronomers was attracted by another spectacular occurrence. On the 12th of February in 1947, a huge meteorite fell in the region of the Sikhotalin Range. The Academy of Sciences organized an expedition into this area under the direction of Fezenkov. When the scientists approached the area, they saw a scene similar to that which Kulik had seen on arrival at Tunguska. Before them lay hundreds of small craters formed by the impact of meteorite fragments that had disintegrated in the air. This was an iron meteorite, and the magnometric method was employed for investigation and recovery. The meteorite fragments had penetrated the soft ground and were found as deep as 8 meters or more than 26 feet below the surface. This sizable fragment weighed 350 kilograms. And the larger one weighed 700 kilograms or 1,540 pounds. Approximately 23 tons of meteoritic material were collected from this site in the Sikhote-Alin range. In the north portion of the meteorite field, some individual meteorites were found in craters formed from the breakup of the parent body during its flight through the atmosphere. The molten metals solidified on the surface of the meteorite, forming streaks and small spherules. This type of spherule was also found in the soil. The investigators remembered that Kulik had also found silver-gray spherules in the soil samples of Tunguska. Investigation of the soil samples Kulik collected was repeated, and Yafnel found magnetic particles in the samples. The foundation for understanding the nature of the Tunguska meteorite occurrence was developed on the basis of experience obtained during this study of Sikhote-Alin. Basic theories of meteorite impact were also developed through this research. Bezenkov calculated the mass of the meteorite as over 1 million tons. This was done on the basis of its trajectory, orbit, and the observed murkiness of the weather in California in 1908, as reported by Charles Greeley Abbott and published by the Smithsonian Institution. Bezenkov hypothesized that these weather observations were related to the disintegration of the meteorite. All these occurrences were studied and analyzed by Krinov, a co-worker of Kulik. His monographs and publications served as the basis for further fieldwork. The geochemist Florensky was in the Tunguska area in 1953 and suggested that further field investigations of Tunguska should be undertaken. Yafnel's discovery of metallic spherules in the soil samples which Kulik had obtained from the Tunguska area became the decisive factor in planning a new expedition. By 1958, 30 years had passed since Kulik's first expedition. The original trading post had changed and was now the main center of the Vanovar district. In the main street, an astronomical benchmark placed by the expedition in 1929 still stands. The 1958 expedition set forth on the same route which Kulik had taken earlier. The trail which Kulik's expedition had cut through the taiga was unrecognizable. The trail was covered with underbrush. However, the huts were rather well preserved, as was the meteorological station. The scene had changed somewhat since Kulik's first expedition, though reminders of his work were still in evidence. The great swamp continued to guard its secret.